CrossFit Games update show, individual athletes raced through the grandstands and the spectators took to the floor. Meanwhile, the teams tackled their favorite new toy once again. And CrossFit gets old school, throwing back to the days at the ranch in Aromas. It's a new day in Carson, California, and we'll tell you how the day's events took up the leaderboard. The CrossFit Games update show starts right now. Welcome to the CrossFit Games update show here live in Carson, California. It was a big day here at the StubHub Center. The champs are back on top. It was day 2 for the teams and yet another day for the individuals. For Caity Henniger, Pat Sherwood, and myself, Emily Turner, welcome here live to the CrossFit Games update show. Champs are back on top.
Yeah, we've got nothing but excitement. If you're a fan of the sport, what more can you ask for? People love Rich Froning. They love Jason Kaliba, and these two guys are locked in a battle.
We talked to Rich Froning last night. He said this is a long weekend. There's still a long way to go. He moves his way up the leaderboard. Champ is back, ready to take that top spot.
And their first workout that everybody tackled today, Naughty Nancy. 4 rounds for a time. Run 600 meters up and over a berm. Then 25 overhead squats, 140 pounds for the men, 95 pounds for the women. And women took it first, and a name we've seen before and talked about many a night here on the update show, Kalina Ladares takes it.
I know, we've had 2 events heavy in the running thus far, and she's won both of them. She won the Burden Run, and today she wins Naughty Nancy as well. Now remember, she's done half marathons, full marathons, and she said she loves running and overhead squats. I mean, so what a great workout for her. The goal was all overhead squats unbroken, then make it up on the run if need be. But she didn't have to do that because she was able to do them all in one set.
You know, as a rookie, it's pretty cool that she's able to come here and prove herself over and over again. In fact, we caught up with her about this victory. Here's what she said.
The longer the workout, the better for me. So I like when you can settle in, find a pace, and go. And overhead squats are my favorite movement. So when I saw this WOD, I'm like, all right, it's a good WOD. Go unbroken on the overhead squats. There's going to be some girls that are faster than you, but just stay consistent, stay moving, breathe, and do as well as you can.
And you want to talk about consistency. There's one name that's consistent in almost every single event, doing really well. That's this woman right here.
Sam told us she was really looking forward to this event with the run. She's strong on the overhead, kept to her own pace, and did very well in this workout.
Here's what she had to say about it.
My aim was to give it everything on the run, and then right from the beginning it was to break the overhead squats to save my shoulders, and it worked pretty well. I knew on the last run coming in some people were shouting to catch her up, and I was like, yeah, she's going to go unbroken on those overhead squats, so I'm going to be behind her anyway, so just keep to my own game plan and don't try and do something stupid.
And her game plan worked. That puts Briggs in second, right behind Kalina Boberil in third.
Yeah, and Sam Briggs, you know, didn't win it, but she did exactly what she needed to do because she knew the clean and jerk wasn't going to play to her strength, so she had to make some money on Naughty Nancy.
You know one name that's missing from that leaderboard? It was showed 1 through 12. It doesn't go all the way down to 26, which is where Christy Phillips, our leader going into this day, placed in this event.
Definitely not expected there. I think we all thought, and I think Christy thought after we talked to her last night, going to do very well in this event with the running. Historically does very well in running type events, but she is not that strong overhead, and I think that is what we saw here.
In fact, let's take a look at this split screen with our winner and Christy right there on the right.
Yeah, Christy on the right, and this was just a tough event for her. Caught up with her earlier today, and she said, you know, the overhead squats were a big challenge for her. She had to stay positive mentally because she realized some of the other female athletes would not have to break up those overhead squats, and she couldn't let that distract her from her game plan.
So Kalina's got a couple of first place finishes that she can tuck away into her pocket. Another person who's got a couple of first place finishes, Mr. Josh Bridges. He was first yesterday, first in the first event today.
Josh doing exactly what he needs to do if he wants to claw his way back into the top. And this is what we expected from him, right?
Yeah, I know. Josh was really looking forward to this event, really confident, but he knew he had to make a move in this event. But where he really separated himself from Lacey Kovacs was in the overhead squat. Went unbroken on every set.
In fact, in this video, you can see a lot of these guys just walking up the stairs. Not Josh.
No, Josh's strength to body weight ratio is incredible. People kind of say that he's like Chris Spieler, but his maximal lifts are even a little bit better than Chris's were. Throw in something with a 140-pound overhead squat and running, and Josh Bridges is going to have a field day.
And then you get the fantastic signature fist pump at the end of the event.
His signature, everyone needs a signature move now, and he has one.
That's right. And we caught up with him after the fist pump and after that victory. Here's what he had to say about it.
When you start off a little rougher than you'd like with the rowing event, kind of hurt, and the sprint event yesterday hurt a little bit. So I definitely needed these victories. I knew those were two good workouts for me, so I was excited for them for sure, and I knew I needed to take top 3 in both of them.
So excited, we even got a leap there at the end on top of the fist bump. So he comes out in first, Froning in second, Khalipa in third. I don't know, I wouldn't have placed that necessarily in the top 3, you guys.
I wouldn't have either, and you know, for all the fans at home, you guys get a kick out of this. I mean, you know, we went through a rehearsal later on earlier today. Unbeknownst to us, our mics were open when I was talking openly about Jason Khalipa, and he actually was sitting in the stands and heard everything that I thought I was just saying to you ladies. And basically I said, he looks like some big orangutan or chimp that the military took, did some science experiments on, and he broke free and is like running around LA, like knocking people over with his triceps. So Jason heard me say that. But it's true, like, really, how did Jason Khalipa finish in the top 3 in this workout with 600-meter runs uphill? You know, he's won the row 1 and 2. He took first in the burden run. Like, Jason Khalipa is winning these events or being in the top 3. It's blowing my mind.
Doing very well in events that we didn't think he would. But who really surprises me is Rich Froning. You know, we all know that he doesn't like the running events. I thought, you know, top 10, top 15, just keep it close in this event, survive. Nope. He takes the second spot right after Josh Bridges.
This is what he's doing. I mean, this is why Rich, like we said yesterday, is such a dangerous guy to have. He was in the top 10. We're like, oh, he's in 7. You know, it's like, should I write him off? Hell no, you shouldn't write him off. I mean, we've got a lot of competition left, and this is what he does. He claws his way back.
And you know what? That victory, or at least that placement, put him in a really good spot going into the afternoon events. And coming back just after this, we'll talk about what the men and women tackled in the afternoon. Not only that, but we'll also talk about what the teams had to take on today. All of that's coming up right after this break.
What do we call something that is hugely defining of individuals? It's the blind and relentless, constant pursuit of excellence. You make people better. I'm gonna let you decide what better is. And you're gonna come tell me, did your exposure, did your coming in here make you better? I know the answer.
And welcome back to the CrossFit Games Update Show. Today was the second day for the team competition. Now, coming into the day, there was a little bit of a surprise. Hacks Pack, the dominant team, not on top. That changed today.
Yeah, and it changed because of a very, very simple workout, right? We're just going to, you know, lift the worm up, squat a bit, and do some burpees. And what's hard about that?
In fact, that is the first event that they tackled today. It's the squat burpee, and it's a couplet, a traditional CrossFit couplet. 2 movements, 30 squats with the worm shouldered and 30 burpees over the worm. 3 rounds for time. Don't take it lightly.
No, and if you've been around CrossFit for a while, the simple thing should scare you.
Definitely should scare you. And, you know, take the log, tie it together, connect all the team members. It doesn't become simple anymore.
Right, it's not awkward at all, right?
Let's take a look at this video. There were a lot of successes and a lot of failures with something what seems to be pretty fundamental, but not so.
Communication, teamwork, all of these things come into play on the team events, and it's so entertaining for us to watch. And it looks simple until you see something like this happen. You know, one person makes a misstep and the whole thing unravels.
It's like dominoes. In fact, there was one team, though, that was able to manage the worm well. They won. That is CrossFit Fort Vancouver, former champs. Here's what they had to say about that victory.
We had fun with the worm event. I know it's kind of awkward, and people were saying it was difficult to manhandle or maneuver, but I don't know if we're just an awkward group, and we enjoyed the event. We had fun in both worm events.
So, CrossFit Fort Vancouver at the top, Team Tyrannus in second, Hackspack in third right there, huh?
Not a position they used to occupy. You know, we said earlier, you know, CrossFit Vancouver, of course they thought it was a fun event, right? They won. The winners always think it's a blast.
You know who is not high up there is the leader overall coming into this day. That was CrossFit Dallas Central. They got no reps so many times it really hurt them.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, if you don't have the communication with the competition being so tight, you can't afford to have those mistakes.
Yeah, I guess they said, you know, I talked to somebody about their team that it was so loud, they had tough time hearing down there. But I mean, I'm sure that was probably true, but some teams obviously found a way to communicate, and that's just part of the environment here.
Yeah, they placed 24th. That knocked them out of that top spot. They had a second workout the teams did in the afternoon. That was the ascending chipper. There were two of them, one for the men, one for the women. Four-time perform a total of 50 deadlifts, 60 chest-to-bar pull-ups, 70 cleans, 80 pull-ups, 90 snatches, 100 toes to bar. The men went first, and then the women. And we just have to give a shout-out to Front Range CrossFit, specifically a man named David Foster. We brought you this story yesterday where he had a pretty significant injury with his hand from the worm. Take a look at this video of him from today. They didn't pull out. Look.
I mean, you can't miss him if you see him in the stands with his Front Range jersey on and his hand, you know, wrapped up that big. This guy still is competing.
You know, what I love is didn't stop, one-arm snatches during the event, and just kept going. We talked about it last night. There's no quit. Love the heart, love the pride. Just go out there and do your job.
Yeah, and given all of that, even this individual having to do one-arm snatches, they're still not last. They are beating teams, which is so impressive.
Yeah, if you look at the leaderboard, they're 37th out of 43 teams. They've got a guy who's got one arm, and they competed in a workout called legless.
I would celebrate that all day long.
I know. Give him a high five on his good hand,
exactly.
As you were saying earlier. The winners, though, in this event, Hackspack. This is where they totally took over the domination. Let's take a look at the video of their performance from earlier today.
Hackspack doing what they do best. I mean, they're just winning. This was going through the chipper first with the men, second with the women, and on both ascending ladder 1 and 2, no one could touch them.
Yeah, and the men finished almost a full minute ahead of the second place team.
Hackspack racing to victory, former individual games athletes and people that haven't been to the games as individuals all coming together under the leadership of Tommy Hackenbrook, and once again making a serious run for the podium.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that. Looking to separate themselves from the pack. I think they're, you know, starting to take a dominating lead. We'll see if that continues into tomorrow.
They have a lot of points that anybody in second place is going to needs to make up in order to even try and catch them. We talked to their coach today and their team leader about how they got to that position. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, we were definitely excited to move a barbell around. However, though, we kind of like oddball stuff. Tommy's very creative and pretty good at kind of guessing what could be thrown at us. So we kind of always have liked experimenting with workouts like that. So, but yeah, it was good for a traditional WOD to test our actual like CrossFit, you know, capacity.
Looking at the leaderboard from the first chipper, Hackspack just sweeps it, followed by CrossFit New England and then CDR Redlands. For chipper 2, let's take a look at that leaderboard. Again, Hackspack in the lead, Invictus in second, Diablo CrossFit right behind them in third. I mean, there's a lot of ground that anybody's going to have to make up to catch them.
They're not making it easy. And the lady that you saw there in the ice bath, Taylor Richards Lindsay, I mean, she's a certified badass, one of many that they have in their team, and they're they're looking to take that title once again.
You know, but anything's possible. You know, remember last year when in their Big Bob event, you know, they placed near the bottom of the pack. Anything can happen tomorrow. They do have a pretty, you know, nice cushion going in tomorrow, but, you know, anything can happen.
That's why we have more events.
That's
I mean,
right.
we have to, I'm sure on Iditarod #1, if we rewind back to that, they didn't expect to take a 28th place, right? So they're not invincible. You know, every team has something they're not quite good at, and the individuals 2 and 3 in the leaderboard hope that tomorrow, you know, goes their way and not Haxpack's.
Well, because there's still that big, huge question mark right there on the schedule. What is that final
Unknown.
event going to be? We don't know. Well, what we do know is that it's not just CrossFit happening here at the StubHub Center. There's also live entertainment. Today, Reebok-sponsored artist Tyga put on quite the performance, and you can see him rapping right there, and everybody in the stands having a grand old time. That's right, we don't just CrossFit here at the StubHub Stadium. We do all sorts of things.
I mean, just proud fathers across the entire globe, scanning there for their daughters, seeing if, you know, if they need to have any sort of restrictions.
Shaking it, you know?
Exactly.
There's a lot of spandex.
Absolutely incredible.
Who knows? All right. Well, coming back just after this, there were 2 more events that both the women and the men tackled in the afternoon. We're going to tell you what those were and how they played out and affected the leaderboard just after this.
People assume the life of a professional athlete is all glamour. My life is pretty simple. Family is important to me. Getting in the water is important to me. Being fit is important to me. Having some time to reflect in the woods is important to me. But the most important thing to me, getting home.
We're all human beings. We all can laugh at the same jokes. We all can share in the same heartbreaks. It doesn't matter if you're a CrossFitter or you're a water skier. We're all trying to find our moment where nothing else matters, everything else falls away, and you're so in the zone that it doesn't even feel like real life.
And welcome back to the CrossFit Games Update Show live in Carson, California. It was a big day and a big afternoon, especially for the individuals. 2 events that they had to complete. One they knew, one they didn't know. The first one they knew was the clean and jerk ladder, and this is a traditional part of CrossFit, the Olympic lifting.
The Olympic lifting and the ladder style event, you know, and you can make a lot of arguments on programming, you know, good versus bad, but the ladder is a very beautifully CrossFit movement because in a normal Olympic lifting event, you get a lot of time between reps. We always put these guys on a clock, and they're constantly ascending in weight, and so you're lifting in a fatigue state, which kind of better simulates what's going on in the real world. So it's a very fun event.
Yeah, and you mentioned the environment here. You know, as they go up the ladder, the crowd seems to love these type of events. They can see, and they're cheering on and screaming for the athletes, and I think it's one of the most exciting events you can have here.
You know, it's so fun to watch. It's almost one of my favorite events to watch. And I'll break down for you what it was. It's the clean and jerk ladder, 1 rep, clean and jerk every 90 seconds with progressively heavier barbells. Let's go ahead and move into the winning lift for the women. A rookie this year actually taking first place, Amanda Goodman.
She was so exciting to watch, choosing to start on the heaviest platform and making it all the way to 235 pounds. Anything that she could squat and get up in the clean, clean and get up in the squat, she could jerk. She was extremely strong overhead.
Looks solid throughout the entire ladder. She's only been CrossFitting for just over a year. Amazing performance.
It is an amazing performance, and you know, it's a first place finish, her first games. That's got to be really exciting to be able to take that little award and the money.
Yeah. No matter what else happens, you can say you won an event at the CrossFit Games.
Heck yeah, hang that on your wall right over your bed and stare at it. In second place, we had a tie between Lindsay Valenzuela and Elizabeth Akinwale. Here they are.
So much hype coming in about these two ladies, and they lived up to it. Huge weight going up today, 225 pounds. I mean, let's be honest, I know a tremendous amount of gentlemen that can't clean and jerk this weight.
Yeah, they both just nailed 230 pounds right here. A lot of hype going in, but, you know, Amanda Goodman still took that top spot.
Yeah, and, you know, they both were at 230 pounds. They both missed the jerk on the second one. Pat, you're a coach. You've been teaching level 1 certifications. Let's break down their form and try and figure out what it was that helped them and what it was that hurt them.
Absolutely. Let's check it out. These two ladies are strong. They know what they're doing, but these lifts didn't go exactly how they wanted to.
Attempting
230 pounds, Lindsay Valenzuela going up to the bar, one of the strongest Olympic lifters in CrossFit, especially at the Games. Easy day on the clean. Gets herself settled, and on the jerk, you're going to notice rock solid. That front foot, shins nice and vertical, foot's heel firmly planted, arms locked out. That is what you need to do to have yourself a successful lift. Exactly what Lindsay needed to do. Stood it up, counted, good to go. You would get a point for the clean and another point for the jerk. So for example, if she made 230, her score would be 230.2. Moves up to 235 pounds. Once again, strong coming out of the hole, not a problem. Gets herself settled, tight belly, everything appears to be going well. However, here's where the wheels come off. Front foot, you can see the heel coming up off the ground and that front knee caving in, the shin's not vertical. She's not in a stable position, and as soon as she had to shoulder that load, it just came crashing down. Bails out, always a lot of excitement involved in the Olympic lifts. Elizabeth Ockenwall, the EA, her and her coach, very excited about the clean and jerk ladder, and she didn't disappoint. 230 pounds, going overhead, no problem. Not ideal on the rear foot. The left leg is almost locked out perfectly straight, but her front foot is planted well, and she's such a capable athlete that she can muscle through this thing and stand it all the way up to count it for a good lift. 230 on the books. Moving forward to 235 pounds. The same little mistakes have now become very costly. Rear leg still locked out and the bar is slightly forward, as is her torso. And once she tries to control this weight, she is going to be dancing this barbell all around the platform, and you're not going to be able to recover that.
So overall on the leaderboard, Amanda Goodman taking first, Elizabeth and Lindsay both tying for second there. I don't think anybody's surprised by the top few names on that.
No, not at all. You know, I'm surprised by Amanda Goodman, but Ockenwall and Valenzuela, no, that's exactly where I expected them to be.
A lot of hype going into this event. Soccer stadium, filled crowd, just an amazing atmosphere to watch these ladies lift a lot of weight.
And the men also took on the clean and jerk ladder, and the big storyline here were the two big names, Rich Froning, Jason Khalipa, both taking on the clean and jerk, literally right behind each other. In fact, we've got video of that right now.
The man himself, Rich Froning Jr. Now, both Rich and Jason chose to start not at the heaviest line of barbells, but one sooner, just to make sure they were going to have good lifts, and Rich gets 345, easy day.
You notice Rich walked right up to the bar, immediately did his first clean and jerk. Jason waited a little bit. Strategy for Rich, getting a little bit more rest in between.
And Jason Khalipa, this is what caused him problems on 335, failed the jerk. What you couldn't see was on both 325 and 315. He basically had the same thing going on. Khalipa's so strong. The squat wasn't a problem, the clean wasn't a problem, but overhead, he got it about there, just tried to muscle it up, and he could at 315 and 325, but couldn't get away with it 335.
And the fact that he couldn't, and the fact that Rich was able to get a higher weight, is ultimately what ends up flip-flopping the two of them. Rich taking first overall after this event. We caught up with him about how excited he was that is what happened.
I'd say so far this has been the hardest CrossFit Games that I've been to. So, you know, those stairs, the row, just everything. Just takes it out of your legs. But I kind of rushed into doing a second one. You know, I do a lot of lifts on the minute, and that 90 seconds is a lot longer than you think, and it starts getting in your head. You're like, I got to rush, but then I should have waited just a little bit longer, and I think I might have had a chance to get it, but you live and you learn.
Well, he's had now 3 games to live and learn, and that's got him in 3rd place in this event. In first place, tied for first, Asia Bartow and Lucas Parker. They both got 255. In fact, we can take a look at their lifts. They were pretty good looking.
I mean, this should motivate anyone that wants to get into putting big weight overhead, because you have two very differently built athletes here.
Very differently built. Asia's about 6'5", Lucas is about 5'8". Two different styles at approaching the bar, both able to lift this load with ease overhead.
And huge crowd favorites. I mean, this is just an event that packs the stands, and Lucas Parker's super entertaining to watch, and just him and Asia both, they're just technicians.
And you know, one of the things I noticed watching them, specifically Lucas Parker, he has the exact same setup every time, starting with like the coral pose here, the breathing and the scream. I mean, that has a lot to do with your technique.
Yeah, he had his whole, I guess, ritual, and if you're a dedicated Olympic lifter, you have your ritual for sure. You're approaching bar the same way, whether it's a foot stomp, the little butt going up and down, hitting the plates, whatever it is, and Lucas seems to have his dialed in. I'm not going to make fun of it because he's putting up monster weight. Absolutely.
So that was just the first of the afternoon events. There were two afternoon events. The second was the reveal du jour. What was the mystery event? Well, I'll tell you. It's called 2007, or the Hopper. For-time, it was a 1,000-meter row, then 5 rounds of 25 pull-ups and 7 push-jerks, 135 pounds for the men, 85 pounds for the women. This is not a new workout. This is a workout that we saw at the very first games in Aromas back in 2007. Here's the history of it.
The athletes in the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games stand on the shoulders of giants. Our history runs deep. Long before television coverage, huge cash prizes, and crowds in the tens of thousands, a handful of enthusiasts gathered over beers and barbecue, bringing their virtual rivalries and friendships from CrossFit.com face to face. The goal? To foster the community of CrossFit and identify the fittest among us. On the dirt hillsides of the ranch in Aromas, California, this is where it all began. The first ever CrossFit Games event was in 2007. A sprint on the rower followed by a 5-round couplet. To represent the demand for general physical preparedness, these elements were selected at random from a peanut roaster. Colored balls, each representing different loading, had movements scribbled on the side. When they were retrieved, athletes faced a 1,000-meter row, then 5 rounds of 25 pull-ups and 7 push-jerks, at a weight considered to be very heavy at the time. 135 pounds for the men, 85 for the women. Brett AFT Marshall won the event with a time of 13:07. The legend Chris Spieler finished in 13:52. Jolie Gentry, crowned world champion at the close of the weekend, submitted the best women's time of 16:22. As impressive as those performances were, we're now in the 7th year of the CrossFit Games. There have been 49 individual Games events from 2007 to 2012. Today, Games athletes have to qualify through the Worldwide Open and a brutal regional competition. What used to be good enough to win a Games event, today wouldn't even qualify for regionals. We have come a long, long way.
Gosh, doesn't that say it all?
Yeah, it's important to remember our roots. I mean, that last shot they ended on, that brown drum on its side, is actually a peanut roaster.
Yeah, the Hopper.
Yeah, for the Castro's neighbors had, and they just kind of commandeered for the event. And, you know, take a look around at where we are now. It's overwhelming, and if you're new to CrossFit, you might think this is how it always was, but our whole premise was built upon you don't need a lot of flashy stuff. You know, you get a barbell in your garage, you set up a pull-up bar, and you can literally turn yourself into a world-class athlete with excellent programming and just simple tools. And that's how the Games, the test of fitness started, and all of a sudden, here we are at the Stub Hub. It's crazy.
2007. That was 2007.
Yeah, unbelievable. You know, you go from the dirt and grit of Aromas to, you know, this beautiful venue here, and just amazing if you weren't a part of that, you know, how much we have grown in such a little time.
I mean, the beer tent is almost bigger than the Games in size. It's
right.
Amazing just how far that's come. And we talked to Spieler, and he obviously did that workout in 2007, and he just barely missed the Games this year. We talked to him about what this means, the broad scheme of things.
I think over the course of the past 7 years, things have changed tremendously. rep schemes, the way that people program at CrossFit headquarters. You guys go on CrossFit.com, things are way different now than in 2007. They've evolved with the community, and maybe it'll give all these young hot shots a little taste of the barbecue at the ranch for a chance, and step into our shoes, maybe give some people some rhabdo.
Good old spiel. All right, look at him right there. Number 3, 13 minutes, 52 seconds. The fastest time that a man did it, Brett Marshall, 13:07.
Yeah, keep that in the back of your head, right? 13:07 on the men's side, and on the ladies, you know, we're talking about the men now, but 16:22 by Jolie Gentry. That's beyond the time cap now. The time cap's at 15 minutes.
Fun fact, 15-minute time cap. You know, only 2 women at the 2007 event actually finished within the time cap.
Well, and here's a little teaser. Those top times, they fell. They were massacred. I mean, they were just stripped down. In fact, let's take a look at who won, starting with the ladies. Valerie Volborough.
Valerie Volborough, you know, I've talked about her and just tried to describe her in many ways. You know, she is just the athlete that it's almost just like a gray mist kind of, you know, going in the morning. You know, you don't quite notice it, but she just comes in, she kicks ass, and her pull-ups were incredible. All eyes were on Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet, but Val stole the show.
I mean, I just think with all the pulling they've done in the event so far, for her to be able to string together so many pull-ups, her first set of pull-ups, 25, her second set, 24 and 1. I mean, just amazing.
She nailed it, got first place. I talked to her after the event. She said she just didn't want to get back on that pull-up bar, but she knew she had enough time ahead of her competitors to kind of rest on the barbell before getting on the bar and pulling.
Yeah, and 9:48, that's the winning time. We just said the last time on the leaderboard is 11:24. It rewinded to 2007, 16:22-1.
Yeah, and here we are. We were talking about those heats. The person who placed second, Natalie McLean, she was in the heat right before that. Now this takes us into the overall leaderboard for the women's standings. Sam Briggs back on top.
Starting to make her push, separate herself a little bit, did well in this event, but, you know, I see her sitting in a very pretty position going into tomorrow.
You know, and I'm intrigued by number 5, Anna Tunnicliffe. All games long, she's been in just kind of the 5, 6, or 7 range. She's never fallen out of there, but she's floating under everyone's radar. But she's only a few points away from making a serious impact. She's been to the Olympics twice in the sailing team, so I've got my eye on you. I'm not buying it. She could punch in at any time.
Well, and Alessandra Pachele getting into the top 3 for the first time in this event, or in this weekend, essentially.
Valerie Volborough making the big push into the top 3 there as well.
That number one certainly didn't hurt her. Now moving over to the men did this straight after that, and there was one name. He was out in front the entire time. I mean, Josh Bridges, another number 1. He's got quite the collection now.
He's your boy.
I am a fan of Josh Bridges. Pretty good friends. You know, what impressed me most in this workout, he came off the rower with some of the big dogs, Khalipa, Froning, and for his size, it was a little bit surprising to me.
Yeah, it just mass and weight is your friend on the rower. Once he got off the rower, though, it was the Josh Bridges show from start to finish. He had actually done this workout previously in training. They were announcing his time over the PA, and he beat his previous PR by a second.
I mean, that's crazy. Here you are. You've done it before. You're PRing. You know, one thing, he and Valerie, both of them, both placing first. They're Invictus athletes. They did this workout in training with their coach, CJ Martin. Both of them beating their previous times here at the CrossFit Games in 2013. I talked to Josh. He said, you know what, pull-ups are in his wheelhouse. He was excited, looking forward to it.
And once again, just to rewind history and kind of see just what the average athlete has done. Remember 2007, winning time 13:07. Today, 8:33.
Amazing.
Absolutely
just amazing.
Incredible.
And the cool thing is, a lot of the athletes that were competing then, or most of them, some of them still here today. Some of them still competing.
For sure. And he's putting up this incredible time after going through the rest of the grueling week, which was tougher than the 2007 Games.
Right.
So Josh Bridges on top, followed by Lacey Kovacs, who we just saw. And this overall men's leaderboard, Rich Froning, Jason Khalipa, and Garrett Fisher. The champ is back on top.
The champ is back, and good luck unseating him.
Starting to make his move, but you know, an interesting fact. Last year, he was 88 points ahead going into the last day. 22 points ahead today. We'll see if Khalipa or Garrett Fisher can make a move tomorrow.
Yeah, but look, There are 64 points separating second from third. That's a pretty big gap.
It's a big gap, and this leaderboard also speaks to how much, if you do well, even some big slip-ups won't change your position that much, because Josh Bridges has won 3 out of the last 4 events. He's taken first in 3 out of 4 events, and he's still in 6th place. He's not even in the top 5 with that incredible winning streak because of, some poor finishes he had. So again, consistency is your friend here at the CrossFit Games.
Makes for an exciting last day.
It does. We have the sprint chipper coming up tomorrow, and then what would it be except for one huge question mark?
Of course.
Yet again, we have another big reveal, one known, one unknown. All of this is happening right here at the StubHub Center on the final day of the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games. For Caity Henniger, Pat Sherwood, and myself, Emily Turner, have a great night. We'll see you back here on the Update Show tomorrow.